Recently, a truly insane rumor circulated about the tragic murder of rapper T Grizzly's aunt and manager, Jobina Brown, and they're putting him in the crosshairs of who made it happen.
Now, there's a bunch of, I think it's misinformation, but there's a bunch of rumors going around where people are saying like, oh, T Grizzly arranged for this to happen, or T Grizzly is close with people from 600, so he must have made it happen.
And it's easy to understand why a rumor of a rapper killing their own aunt would spread like wildfire, but if certain YouTubers are to be believed, these rumors are not coming from Reddit or Twitter, but from the courtroom, and these rumors are apparently backed up by people very close to the case.
It went from a mere conspiracy to now it's a theory that's being explored in court.
But before jumping into any conclusions, it's important to look at all the information we have available, starting with the news story of a tragic killing that made no sense whatsoever.
Well, she managed T Grizzly, one of Detroit's most popular rappers, but earlier this week, Jobina Brown was shot and killed on the city's east side.
One of the few certainties about this case is that on August 20, 2019, Jobina Brown, fondly known as JB, was brutally murdered on Detroit's east side.
Well, Glenda, Detroit police tell me that homicide investigators are still working on this case, still trying to figure out what led up to the shooting here on 3 Mile Road just off of Mack. Meanwhile, those who knew Brown say she was kind-hearted and a hard worker. Sources say on Tuesday night around 9:30, the 41-year-old was sitting in a Chrysler 300 with 2 other men here on 3 Mile just off of Mack. Police say as one of the men got out of the car, she was shot and killed.
The man who got out of the car was T Grizzly, and the other man was their cab driver. Jobina was Grizzly's aunt, but also his manager and a very well-respected person in Detroit's music scene, and she wasn't his aunt by blood.
It was like her first time managing, but she grasped the knowledge of how to manage an artist and was running with it, and he's been very successful.
And the news story ended with an urgent plea for any further information.
Meanwhile, if you have any information that can help police solve this case, please call Detroit Police Homicide.
So police were presented with a friendly and deeply loved woman suddenly being shot dead on the streets. Who on earth would do this, and why? In September, T Grizzly released a tribute song, which was the middle name of his late aunt. But within this tribute song, he also provided an answer as to why someone would have killed his aunt, rapping, "Look how they tried to do me, but got JB. Man, that jealousy is so real, man, that hate so deep." So according to T Grizzly, the shooting happened because they were initially trying to kill him. T Grizzly also said that the shooter saw that it wasn't him, but started shooting anyway. He says this in the line, "You saw it wasn't me and still shot. What'd she do to you?" As well as this song, Grizzly also revealed details about the murder in a shocking interview with Big Dog Blast. And this interview would provide answers, but also add more questions about what happened on that fateful day. The interview first broke down the unusual situation where T Grizzly had his auntie as his manager. In October of 2016, T Grizzly was released from a 9-month prison sentence for robbery and wanted to start a rap career. During his time behind bars, he wrote a song called First Day Out, which he hoped to release as a song. And Jobina Brown was one of the few family members who believed in him.
Because when I first came home, I had asked a lot of people in my family for a chance, because this is what I was really trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, can y'all help buy me a beat? I really want to rap, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them just wasn't taking me serious. Like, you better go get a job, what you trying to rap for, and all this other stuff.
Right. And she believed in you?
She believed in me. She was the only one. That First Day Out video, she paid for the video, bought the outfit I had on in the video, everything.
He then explained what happened on that fateful night. After recording at the studio, T Grizzly went to visit his cousin's house. In 2012, when T Grizzly was roughly 18 years of age, his father was murdered. So he went to visit a cousin who knew his father well.
I'm going over my cousin's house, my older cousin. He was real close with my pops, just like my pops' brother. And I always try to, you know what I'm saying, show him some love, because that's another wound we really ain't healed from.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I went over there, and I was telling her, like, come in the house. And she like, no, I don't want to go in. I'm begging her to come in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like.
And that's where things get a bit unusual. Jobina was apparently a real neat freak, to the extent that she would not go inside a home if she knew that it was going to be untidy.
Because JB was kind of like funny acting about dirty houses.
Okay.
And stuff like that. The house wasn't even dirty, but to her, she just a clean, real clean person.
T Grizzly called to his cousin's home, and his other aunt let him in. Then gunshots were heard.
My people's taking so long to come to the door. You know what I'm saying? They finally come to the door. As soon as I see her, as soon as I see my auntie, she about to open the door. I hear a whole bunch of shots going off. You know what I'm saying?
Behind you?
Behind me. I hear a whole bunch of shots going off. So I get down, because I'm thinking they about to come to the side and start, you know what I'm saying, shooting at me, and I ain't got nothing on me at the time. My cousin ran out with a gun, I'm like, perfect. So we ran out on the street. When we ran out, my driver was gone with no cars out there.
However, Jobina was miraculously still alive and was driven to the hospital.
She was still breathing and everything. She called me.
She called you?
While she was shot, she called me.
What'd she say?
I was trying to talk to her. I didn't hear what she was saying.
Oh.
She couldn't really form no words. You know what I'm saying? But, like, it was coming for me because they opened my door.
Okay.
And was shooting in the car. They hit her 8 times, though.
And just like in the song, T Grizzly claimed that someone was after him.
So don't nobody really know me personally. I don't know none of these niggas personally. So you can't have no personal problem with me. You feel me? So what other reason is it to not like me besides what I got going on? That's just the way I feel about it.
In 2020, Michigan Crime Stoppers announced a $2,500 reward for any information. But on the whole, life would simply move on. T Grizzly continued rapping, and in 2023, he got married. But behind the scenes, police had managed to arrest a suspect. And because of who this person was and who they were associated with, rumors began to spread like wildfire. This is a rumor that had spread around in circles in Detroit for years, but in 2025, when the trial finally started, the rumors started to reignite on social media. Sadly, this trial has not been televised, but one Michigan YouTuber who was physically present in the courtroom had some pretty fascinating information to share. The YouTube channel The Family broke down who they believed the killer was. It was initially assumed that the hit was made by some gang member from Detroit. Instead, the alleged murderer was a man named Jermaine Whedon. Whedon, rather interestingly, is from Chicago and lives in Chicago, and he was arrested as early on as 2019. This video screenshotted court reports laying out why he was a suspect. He had been carrying a Glock 23 40 caliber and was driving a stolen blue Nissan Versa. The shooter of Jobina Brown drove the exact same car and had the exact same weapon. By February 2020, ballistics experts confirmed that Whedon's Glock 23 was the same firearm used during the murder of Jobina. So, if this person was responsible, who is Jermaine Whedon? Well, this is where things get really interesting. Whedon also goes by the name Wu Thang and is allegedly part of the Chicago gang 600. Fans of T Grizzly were shocked by this because, despite being from Detroit, T Grizzly is closely tied to this gang. 600, as many people know, is affiliated with OTF, which is owned by Lil Durk, only the family. Lil Durk and T Grizzly did their own 2017 mixtape together called Blooders. So you'd think that when a member of 600 had been charged with the murder of his aunt, T Grizzly would start to distance himself from this gang. Well, during his 2023 wedding, one of the groomsmen was the rapper Buka 600. On the 2024 song with Hood Bocce, Grizzly performed a song with OTF rapper Duty Low and literally shouted out OTF. This video by the family also found something suspicious, which suggested that Wu Thang was not a lone wolf in this crime and there were other people involved.
And for some reason, when this case has started back up for trial, they released a $2,500 reward again, as if the guy they caught with all this evidence isn't enough or not the sole person responsible.
By now, you're probably eager to find out why T Grizzly would ever want to kill his own aunt. Well, attached to the rumor that he killed his aunt was the speculation that they did not have the normal auntie-nephew relationship. First of all, T Grizzly was signed to her and there might have been some sort of financial disagreement between them. However, there's a much more salacious allegation, and this is where the conspiracy gets much wilder. Jobina was not Grizzly's biological aunt. She was his aunt by marriage, and it was alleged that Jobina and Grizzly were romantically involved and he got her pregnant. This is a very sensitive rumor to even bring up, but the person behind this YouTube channel was apparently at the trial and claims that this was not a mere rumor whispered in the dark corners of the web, but something that was being talked about in the courtroom.
That rumor that's floating around that T Grizzly got his alleged aunt pregnant, the state believes that. Not the family TV, not Reddit, the state.
The family has not posted another video since then, but this video did motivate another YouTuber to look even deeper into this case. And once again, these incredibly wild conspiracies start to become slightly more plausible. FLAKKO, who's a much more established name in hip-hop commentary than the family, has basically taken on the reins from this video from the family and looked into the case even deeper. In his first video on T Grizzly, FLAKKO poked holes in the original story. One of the biggest mysteries is that if the murderer was following him, they must have seen him get out of the car and into the house.
So if they were trailing them close enough to where they were able to get to the crib or get to the vehicle while T Grizzly was still at the door, then wouldn't they just be able to see where T Grizzly went and follow him?
And this was not a drive-by either, where bullets were simply aimed at the vehicle.
They was looking for someone. And that's why they went to the vehicle, opened up the vehicle, looked to see who's in the vehicle, and began shooting that person on that side. That's why the driver wasn't hit, and and he was the only other person in the vehicle, but that's why he wasn't hit.
There's also some interesting information from Wu-Tang's cell phone. He had not pulled up on the vehicle, but had been waiting for them to arrive.
The cell phone towers pinged Wu-Tang's cell phone at the murder scene for more than an hour and 56 minutes. So it started pinging around 7 p.m. and continued pinging until 8:56 p.m., which is minutes before the shooting occurred. That means that Wu-Tang was at the murder scene for an hour and 56 minutes.
So here we have a number of questions. What was a guy from Chicago waiting around in this certain area from Detroit? As many people know, this is a 4-hour drive. It's unlikely that you would do this trip without a specific reason in mind. And if this was supposedly someone who hated T. Grizzly, how did they know to wait outside his cousin's house for an impromptu visit? By now, T. Grizzly was not oblivious to all the rumors circulating around, so he decided to break his silence.
I just ain't just about to go around trying to clear no shit up because it is what it is. As far as like, you know, I ain't about to be. Certain shit you can't entertain, bro, especially when it's absolutely nonsense. You see what I'm saying? But you do got a lot of motherfuckers that go to the internet and think that everything they see on that is facts. It's not a place for facts. You can see some shit dead in your face, chat. That's not true. So you think you can't be fooled by the internet?
Academics also weighed in and questioned the conspiracy theories.
If it's your auntie and you want her dead that much, why even get in the vehicle with her? You're the prime suspect, my guy. You know, so I know people wanted to, like, you know, hey, he did it. The facts of the case actually don't really support that, but I understand why people would drum that up because, you know, T Grizzly himself, he plays like GTA RP. People actually think life is like GTA RP, where it's just really so black and white, where it's like, yo, if his auntie died, oh, he got to be him. He's the main character.
But FLAKKO released a second video and looked through the indictment, which confirmed the phone records that the shooter had been waiting around for an hour. He also shared 2 photos, one of Buka 600 as a groomsman at T Grizzly's wedding, and another of Buka 600 and other 600 members, including Wu-Tang. So there's essentially 1 degree of separation between T Grizzly's groomsman and the person who killed his auntie. It would be almost impossible to stay friends with someone who shot your auntie. It would also be incredibly difficult to be friends with someone who remained friends with the person who shot your auntie. It's unclear when the photo with Buka 600 and Wu-Tang was taken, though. These videos from Poetic, FLAKKO, and the family prompted WACK 100 to get involved, but WACK 100 was in a unique situation where he knew JOBINA and even went to the funeral. One of the things WACK 100 wanted to set straight was T Grizzly's casual demeanor when talking about the tragic murder of his aunt. What really added fuel to the conspiracy theories that he was breezily playing video games while talking about the brutal murder of his auntie.
The T Grizzly I've already known, he's a real nonchalant, stone-faced type of dude. You know what I'm saying? And if you hear some of his interviews, he tells you that a lot of things he went through as a child affected how he is today as an adult. So I know a lot of y'all be like, yo, he don't really show no emotions. You know, he's kind of like straight, plain face. He's playing the video game. He's really not making eye contact.
He also claimed that it could be very likely that the shooter didn't know what he was doing.
We could have had a nervous dude that opened the car door and just opened fire, right? Or we had a dude open the car door and identify who was in the car, then open fire.
However, WACK 100 then gave the highly implausible reason that the shooter could have mistaken JOBINA for T Grizzly.
Now, T Grizzly's a big dude. JB's not as big as T Grizzly, but she's not a petite woman as well. JB usually wears long hair. You know, you wouldn't mistaken her for T Grizzly. But if you a nervous dude and you just like on something that you really ain't good at or used to, it's like opening the door is an identifier. See, walking up on the car and just discharging your firearm is like you just think somebody in the car, you don't know who. But open up the door is an identifier.
A much more compelling point brought by WACK is that just because someone is from the same gang as you or from the same neighborhood doesn't automatically mean that you are good friends.
Just because they from the same hood, same city, same clique, doesn't mean that they're cool, right? A lot of us are from a neighborhood, half the neighborhood love you, the other half of the neighborhood can't stand you. That's the story of my life, right?
He then said that gang members will work as hitmen and will shoot someone as purely a business decision. On top of that, the motive that there was some sort of financial dispute between Grizzly and Jobina is complicated by the fact that Jobina was a really good manager and was also doing very well with the rapper Sada Baby.
I've never heard of JB and T Grizzly falling out behind royalties, behind masters, and usually that's what happens. Like, it's usually a fallout. People part go their ways. JB could have. Sada Baby was on fire at the time. Sada Baby was hot as a firecracker at the time. She could have just put all her time and interest into Sada Baby. She got him a deal out of Solemn Records. Sada Baby was around here buzzing.
One thing WACK could have also mentioned too is how the stigma of snitching could be clouding the information that's coming through. T Grizzly could be giving his account because he doesn't want to be seen as incriminating other people. You also have the possibility that Wu-Tang was caught with the weapon and car but refused to snitch on the person he received those items from. WACK 100 was ultimately curious about jumping to any conclusions, but FLAKKO then released a video where he had gathered information, concluded that it was not looking good for T Grizzly.
My sources told me, and when I say sources, understand this when I tell you this. I'm not talking about hearsay. I'm not talking about associates. Everything I tell you, they've been in the room when it happened. I'm not talking about, hey, yo, I heard this. Hey, yo, Pookie told me. No, I'm talking about when I tell you something in this video, understand, the person I heard it from was in the room when it happened.
In this video, FLAKKO shared pretty shocking information that the police allegedly knew that Grizzly had killed his aunt and just needed to prove it.
The situation. I was told the police chief looked T Grizzly in his eyes and told him, I know you involved somehow. I'm going to get down to the bottom of this. The police chief thought this. The police chief thought that T Grizzly was involved somehow. They just couldn't prove it.
The police chief went further and told Jobina's family that they knew it was him.
The police chief told Jobina Brown's sister and Jobina Brown's mother that they believed that T Grizzly is involved somehow. Now, T Grizzly became a suspect almost initially because the police chief discovered, so T Grizzly's uncle was married to Jobina Brown. The uncle went to jail 3 months before her death. Within those 3 months, T Grizzly began an intimate relationship with Jobina Brown.
And then FLAKKO dropped the biggest bombshell of all. The allegation that T Grizzly killed his aunt was even mentioned in court, and this rumor did not come from the prosecution but from the defense.
The defense attorney, who is responsible for getting Wu-Tang off, he came to court and he says, listen, obviously, T Grizzly put the hit out on Jobina Brown. He said that in court. The transcripts will prove it. And he also said that he did it because Jobina Brown was pregnant.
The most important witness of all is the driver, who was in the car when this happened, and his testimony was pretty interesting.
The driver who was in the vehicle when Jobina Brown was shot and killed, he testified that the shooting took place 45 seconds from when T Grizzly got out the vehicle. What that shows is T Grizzly was on that porch. That shows that there's a high likelihood that the shooters seen T Grizzly.
And one of the most damning aspects of all is that members of Jobina's family have been suspicious of T Grizzly since this case.
The family has been suspicious of T Grizzly because he continued to hang with the people that the family believe is responsible for the aunt's death. If Wu-Tang, aka Wu 600, is from 600, and T Grizzly groomsman in his wedding last year was Buka 600, the family is like, come on, man. We not born yesterday, yo. If the hit was for you, then why are you still hanging out with those people?
WACK 100 then also went to speak with people close to T. Grizzly's family, and when speaking to the son of Jobina Brown, he was shockingly more compelled by these conspiracy theories. On this podcast, WACK delivered a bombshell that pretty much confirms one of FLAKKO's claims. When speaking with Jobina's son, he told WACK,
Said, man, I know my mom used to call you a lot to help her on shit and whatever, wherever. And the best, I said, yeah, that was my homegirl. He said, well, I'm going to let you know how I'm coming so you ain't got to handle me with soft gloves. And I said, I know T. Grizzly and my mama was sexually involved, romantically involved.
He then verified FLAKKO's claim about the police sergeant.
Said, I've been in court every day. He said, WACK, the mother, the head, the sergeant, whatever, whoever was running the police force, looked at T. Grizzly when it happened and said, we know you had something to do with it and we gonna figure it out eventually.
He then also verified the story about the defense attorney making this claim in court.
The defense attorney says in court, my client ain't did this murder. This is a murder for hire that was paid for by T. Grizzly.
WACK 100 is right that the defense attorney bringing this up is a big deal. However, lawyers in the U.S. have something called attorney-client privilege, which basically gives them an absolute right to free speech as long as it has something to do with the case. It's very unlikely that a lawyer will be taken to court for supposedly slanderous arguments made in a trial. So you can now add to the pile of potential theories the possibility that Wu-Tang's defense attorney has gotten so desperate that he has decided to repeat rumors he heard on the internet, similar to the lawyers for the killers of XXXTentacion saying that they wanted to subpoena Drake because of the conspiracy theories that he put out the hit on X. And it's basically his job to muddy the waters and make sure his client isn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt. WACK 100 later confirmed that the son was FLAKKO's source.
Where you get this info from, defense attorney? Who else gonna give him this?
Shit, he could have got it from FLAKKO.
Hell no, he didn't get it from FLAKKO. FLAKKO got it from the son yesterday on my three-way at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
And it's obviously quite damning for T. Grizzly that Jobina's son is speaking to YouTubers alleging that he killed his own mother. Once again, you have the conclusion that it's not looking good for T. Grizzly. And this mention of her son is a necessary reminder that as interesting as this case might be, there are real people's lives involved. The sad thing is that because of the complete mess of information surrounding this case, we might never get the proper answers, but hopefully justice will be served.